What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. Now, we play a lot of Blood on the Clock Tower on this channel, and we talk a lot about the design space as well. What kind of new and cool things could we still create for Blood on the Clock Tower? And recently, I went through and did a tier list of all the 4 character types, and something started to become a bit more apparent. The Bad Moon Rising characters are designed in such a way that they don't play nice with others on different scripts. The characters from Bad Moon Rising are a bit underloved when it comes to making the custom scripts because they require such a high synergy like with other things of the same type. Like you could have just exactly the Devil's Advocate on a script because as soon as somebody is prevented from execution, it's only the Devil's Advocate pick that player, and it can be a bit rough. So to make a script work like that, it needs to have a lot of characters doing similar and the same kinds of things so that you can build that synergy and make the script work. And so some of the Bad Moon Rising characters are a little bit underloved, and a lot of the new release characters are more like if there was 2 types of characters, if one of them was Bad Moon Rising and one of them is Sex and Violence, more of the new characters are Sex and Violence types character. So knowing that the new base 3 characters are coming out, this is being recorded in January, so the odds of it having come out already I think are low, but I'll be happily wrong if they come out now when this video comes out. But what would Bad Moon Rising 2 look like? What would something that tries to do the same thing as Bad Moon Rising but add something new and fresh and have a little bit more complexity and use some of our favorite characters from that script? We are both trying to have them be a little bit less underloved and show up a little bit more, and also add some new things that let them interact in a new and different way. And so which are the characters that I want to keep? This is what I started with: the Gossip, the Moonchild, the Gambler, the Devil's Advocate, the Shabaloth, the Professor, the Godfather, the Tea Lady, and the Fool. So let's start with the Shabaloth. I think the Shabaloth is a very cool demon. I think that the Shabaloth is really underloved because when a regurgitation happens, the Shabaloth becomes really, really confirmable. It's just like really instantly solves the what demon is it puzzle if it's a Shabaloth like pretty quickly. And for a player to be regurgitated, usually it is good team play, and usually because the evil team is kind of winning. But then like the cost of it's instantly a Shabaloth confirmed, and that person is revived, is probably on the good team. It's just like such a swing in the other direction, which is kind of brutal. And so one of the goals was to make Shabaloth feel like it could fit and work on a different script from Bad Moon Rising. And then we picked the Devil's Advocate and the Godfather. I think the Godfather is just one of the greatest minions, period. And I like how the Fool, Tea Lady, and Devil's Advocate work together. So I wanted to work them in there as well. And then we needed some extra deaths stuff, because that is one of the things that BMR does really well, is the extra deaths. So we got the Gambler, we got the Moonchild, we got the Gossip. And the goal is to take these as the core of our the script idea, and we're going to see what we can add to them, see what other things will work well with them, and what other things can be similar to them and work in the same space. And so we got some new release characters since BMR was printed. One of these is a technicality, and we'll get to that. We got some new characters. That is the Vigor Mortis, the Cannibal, the Townsfolk Acrobat, and the Leech. So the Vigor Mortis is technically a new character because it was released with Sex and Violence, but after Bad Moon Rising was completed, and we're placing a demon on Sex and Violence. And the Vigor Mortis weirdly works better with a Bad Moon Rising setup. Having a dead minion still be doing things, that's the Zombuls territory, my guy. That sounds a really easy inclusion. So we're going to try and make the Vigor Mortis work. Next is the Cannibal. Again, you want to be killing people, but the Cannibal cares about people that have just died and what abilities they're going to have. That's really cool. That sounds very Bad Moon Rising to me. And then the new Acrobat ability, the Townsfolk, the Acrobat. Each night, asterisk, choose a player. If they are or become drunk or poisoned tonight, you die. That's an incredibly bad Moon Rising, kind of character. And then finally, the Leech. You poison someone. Let me give you the exact text. Each time Asterix choose a player, they die. You start by choosing a player, they are poisoned. You die if and only if they are dead. So you care about a specific person staying alive, so the DA, protection, and stuff like that works nicely there. The Leech cannot be executed, so you need a reason for the Leech not to be executed, like a full bluff, like a T-Lead bluff, or whatever, the DA, that kind of stuff. And then someone is poisoned, and the Acrobat can actually be a Leech Host Detector, which I think is kind of cool. But I've done some cooking. I fired up the gas stove today and boiled something that I can show off for you now. This is Temple of Rot. Temple of Rot is my attempt at making a mostly bad Moon Rising script with some extra cool stuff that we've played on other homebrew scripts before, and now I am adding these things together. So we start off with our core: Acrobat, Professor, Tea Lady, Gossip, Gambler, Fool, Chambermaid. Chambermaid was added later for balance. Yes, it comes on Bad Moon Rising. The intention was to not use the Grandmother or the Chambermaid because I wanted other different information characters. But the Chambermaid came back in a big way for a specific reason when we see another character later on. So don't close the video, I guess, or whatever the other shit Mr. Beast says whenever he's trying to get viewer retention. But you'll notice I skipped over one, which is the Oracles. The Oracle learns how many dead players are evil. This is a very bad Moon Rising type information character. I think it fits nicely here. Now let's talk about our homebrew townsfolk. First up, the Chrome Boy. The Chrome Boy is my attempt at taking the Choir Boy's vibe. Because the way the Choir Boy and the King work, my kind of read is that the Stormcatcher just replaced the unique thing that they did. And so I'm like, well, what if we had a character that interacted with something like that thing was the Stormcatcher? And so here we have the Chrome Boy. You and the demons start knowing a player and their character, similar to the Grandmother, except there's a grandfather who's an asshole who learns the grandchild. Let's not get into that too much. If that player dies, learn the demon. So the townsfolk learns a player they can trust and their character. The demon learns a person that they can't kill unless if the Chrome Boy dies. And the demon knows the Chrome Boy is in play because they get the Chrome Boy's information about the player that they shouldn't be killing. And so just that mechanical part of like whether or not the demon is killing people is interesting. But additionally, the demon learns a player and their character. The demon can bluff to be the Chrome Boy and have like a weird evil twin situation, which could be interesting, could facilitate some interesting plays if the demon is to get there first and is more convincing. Could be cool. But the Chrome Boy would ultimately learn the demon if the King character would die in any fashion, which I think is cool. I like that. If you fuck with my Stormcourt character, the upside is that the Chrome Boy learns demon. The minor awkwardness here is that the person that the Chrome Boy knows, the Chrome Boy is just going to try and get them killed as soon as possible, which is not great. Next is the Herbalist. Now, the Herbalist is my answer to the Shabaloth being so instantly and easily confirmed. The Herbalist, each night, asterisk, a townsfolk might be resurrected. This is replacing the pacifist for me. I would much rather a person is executed and dies or dies at night, especially so that the cannibal can potentially eat them, instead of them being protected from death. But then the Herbalist might resurrect them. And this creates that, is it a Shabaloth, or is there a Herbalist in play, kind of thing that makes the Shabaloth a little bit harder to discover, whereas the Professor just doesn't kind of hit hard enough to quite get there. And look, in the same way that the pacifist interacts, I think that the Herbalist is just kind of doing the same thing, but it's like just like the next level of power which I think is kind of cool. Next is the physicist. This is kind of a goofy one because I like the idea that Batman Rising only has like one or two really info characters, and then there's like a bunch of mechanical things. So this is one of the ones where I wanted it to be an info character. That is the physicist. You start knowing if there are more evil players sitting on even or odd numbered seats. The demon seat wins ties. So if you have two evil players, two minions on even seats, and the demon and a minion on an odd seat, it's theoretically tied. However, the demon seat breaks ties, so you would learn the parity upon which the demon is seated in the event of a tie. Which I think is really cool. Instead of it just being arbitrary and you're like, well, fucking whatever, it actually tells you what the more interesting answer is going to be. For Shigenja, you obviously can't do that in the same way because it's like you don't want to be learning the demon specifically because you're like, oh, the demon's just next to me, let's kill that guy, we win the game. But I think in this case it works really well. And gives you some kind of cool and different. Like we start with the chef, where it's like how many pairs of your players. We get the clockmaker, which is like the next step, where it's like yes, if there's a pair, you'll learn a one. If they're further apart, you'll learn how much further apart they are. And then we have the physicist, where it's like, are they all evenly spaced or not? Basically. Next is the huckster. Each day, publicly guess 2 players as a character type you haven't guessed before. Tonight, learn how many are correct. This is just adding another gossip type character, but obviously doesn't have like a lives or dies or protected or whatever kind of thing to it. It's just information, but they're like going to be very visible, and people are going to have to be helping bluffing the huckster, or the huckster is definitely going to die. And the huckster gets fantastic information. So if they go, these 2 people, the demon, and they get a no, and they go, okay, categorically they can't be the demon, and they pick somebody else to go, these 2 people townsfolk, and they get like no, you're like what the hell? But you will receive a 0, a 1, or a 2, basically. So if you hit 2 townsfolk, you'll get a 2, and so on, which I think is kind of cool. I really like how the huckster is designed, and I'm excited to seeing it played a bit more. Next is our outsiders. So we have the Moonchild. We pick up the Puzzle Master, because the Puzzle Master works really nicely with the Acrobat. If the Acrobat detects a puzzle-drunk player, and the Puzzle Master goes, I trust the Acrobat, and they did die, sick, I'm going to guess that person to learn the demon. Nice. I do like that. But on this script, figuring out who that person is a lot harder, because not just my information sucks, it's the I was the fool and I was executed on the first day. Guys, which I do like. I think that is kind of cool. Then we have the Plague Doctor. When you die, the Storyteller gains a minion ability, and all the minion abilities are very fun for the Storyteller players, so we'll see them in a second. And then the last one, the Imitator. This is an outsider that I just have ended up putting on nearly every one of my homebrew scripts because I just really like how it works. It's the Pixie with downside. You start knowing one in-play character, even if dead, you are mad that you are that character or that character dies tonight. This works really nicely on a BMR type script, but also the Imitators are cool. I know one person I can trust. I unfortunately have to make them have a slightly worse time because I have to be really convincing that I am that guy or that guy dies. But if that guy is dead, then the Imitator can go, oh, finally, thank God. I was the Imitator as, whatever that guy was. Which I kind of do like. All right, let's look at the minions. And the Shabaloth, apparently. So, the Devil's Advocate, as we said, and the Godfather, as we said. And the Organ Grinder, I think, works really nicely here. I think the Organ Grinder is a fantastic minion, one of the funnest of them. And then we have my homebrew minion, which I think is very BMR coded. I've played it a couple of times, people have really liked it. It is the Crypt Keeper. Players that die at night are told privately and register alive. If a dead player was executed today, choose someone to die tonight. This is so fun. It means that the evil team can bluff being dead. It means that actual dead players are not going to register. It's really hard to kind of tell when the extra days, especially if there's extra deaths tonight, which is kind of cool. Now, here's where the chambermaid starts being great. because players that are dead but register alive can be selected by the chambermaid. The chambermaid specifies 2 alive players, but if they register as alive, the chambermaid can select them. Now, in that scenario, the registering alive dead players are dead, do not have an ability. They will not be waking. The chambermaid can confirm these bluffs, and the oracle can also confirm in the same sort of way. They overlap a little bit in they're trying to figure out exactly who is really dead, which is very cool, and I like that extra layer of puzzle that this adds to it. And so I think the Crypt Keeper works really nicely. Now, I finally fucking figured out how to do this and add jinxes in a way that doesn't look like it is dog shit. Thanks, Bloodstar Clock Ticker, for cocking up the whole thing. I learnt to code, apparently, and now have nice jinxes in there. And I'll read the jinx at the very end because I think it's very spicy. But let's look at our demons. Our demons. Whoops, spoilers. You can have half a spoiler. The Shabaloth. The whole point was to make the Shabaloth feel kind of playable. First of all, if the players that are killed register as alive and they get regurgitated, any player, any evil player that fakes being dead while the Crypt Keeper is in play can fake being regurgitated to simulate a Shabaloth in a game where it is not. How fucking sick is that? I'm really excited to see something like that come together. And then the Shabaloth interacting with the Herbalist. The Shabaloth just has a lot more play on this script. The Shabaloth, I think, will work really well, and it won't be instantly solvable. Next, we have the Leech. I think the Leech is also very good here. It works really nice with stuff like the Acrobat. It works really nice with some characters that, like the Gambler, is just going to blow itself up. And then you can kind of solve the puzzle and figure out that it is a Leech, and then we have some Protectors that kind of work up with that and back that up. Then we have the Vigor Mortis. The Vigor Mortis has some fucking fantastic targets. Killing the Organ Grinder and protecting it forever, and then it can still choose if they're drunk or not. Amazing. Same with the Crypt Keeper, because if the Crypt Keeper dies, all of the players that register alive stop registering alive and become dead. So the Crypt Keeper keeping that ability forever and can still be potentially killing people at night. Very cool. Same for Godfather with the extra death, and same for the Devil's Advocate, still being able to protect people even if they have died. And the Vigor Mortis plus the Crypt Keeper is really funny because they are dead, register alive, keep their ability. The Chambermaid will probably find this out. The Oracle receives information about them being dead. And if executed while dead, they don't lose their ability still. So good luck figuring that one out, I guess. Vigor Mortis becomes insanely powerful with the Crypt Keeper, actually. And then our last one, Dead Weight. Dead Weight. Each night Asterix choose a player, they die, are told privately, and register alive. If no one died today, choose twice. Now, the reason why Dead Weight and Crypt Keeper overlap is because the players being dead privately as a state of the game shouldn't instantly confirm that it is the Crypt Keeper minion. Shouldn't instantly confirm that it is the Deadweight demon. I like there being kind of a dichotomy, but you can tell the difference between them because Deadweight only specifically makes the ones that it selects register alive. So you can have the Crypt Keeper and the Deadweight together. The Crypt Keeper just makes it better, and also will still get the extra executions. And then Deadweight is still, it's just more hidden, and then Crypt Keeper gets the extra kills. So it's not amazing, but it's not horrible, right? Like, it just works good. It is an extra layer of hiding things. I would only probably do this in like a bigger game, like a 13 player, but it is very cool. And it adds like, it's not instantly confirming that the Crypt Keeper exists. Like the Organ Grinder is instantly confirmed that it exists. And I really wanted the Organ Grinder to be the only one that's super obvious. But here's the extra cool, spicy thing at the end of it. Here is our jinx between the Crypt Keeper, the Deadweight, and the Organ Grinder. If the Organ Grinder and the Crypt Keeper or Deadweight are in play together, executees are not announced and are instead told privately. So players that die at night and players that are executed will be secret. They will be informed privately. And I think that is very cool. And people are like trying to keep track of who they think has died, what's really gone on. This is the next layer of the Bad Moon Rising style puzzle. I'm very excited to run this. I'm very excited to see how this goes. Because I think it's pretty solid. There might be like a little bit of tinkering to do with it, like maybe Chrome Boy is too powerful or whatever. And, you know, I will be tinkering with it over time, but I'm very excited to run this because I think this is a great script for the Acrobat to shine. It just has so many great targets that will tell you things. I think this is a great script, like where the Herbalist and the Shabaloth suddenly work really well, and the Shabaloth just really shines here. And so I'm excited to see all of this kind of come together. And if you're excited to stick around, I am going to be running games of this on the channel soon. So if you're a big Blood on the Clocktower fan like me, check out the playlist that I have on screen. It has all of the Blood on the Clocktower videos, all of them. It's got design commentary. I've made a bunch of tier lists recently about the different categories. It's got all of the gameplay videos that I do, all of my homebrew content, all that stuff is in there. And I have a separate extra playlist, which you'll have to go and search for, which is like specifically the game design discussion ones apart. This is kind of the type. I do script building, I talk about design space, I talk about what kind of characters and stuff work, but I do this for other games as well, like the Pokemon TCG, Marvel Snap, stuff like that. If that interests you, maybe check out some of that as well. Maybe this suggested video on the screen is something like that, or maybe it's something more casual, like my Let's Play Ape Escape playthrough, or Path of Exile 2 playthrough, or maybe I'm just doing some goofy shit and I uploaded it that day. Who knows? It could be fun, it could be exciting, and you should check it out. And also you should click the subscribe button because I asked you very nicely. Please do it. Please click the button. I'm trying to get 1,000 people to click the button. It's really hard, and I appreciate any and all support that you would give me. And also, stick around and we'll play some Clocktower soon.